Now, he's famous for painting northern industrial towns peopled by matchstick figures. LS Lowry's distinctive style has made him one of the most recognisable and popular British painters. But arguably, a snobbish southern art establishment has been rather less keen to recognise his achievements. That's about to change with an exhibition of his work at Tate Britain, the first major retrospective since his death way back in 1976. Our culture editor, Matthew Kane, has this report.
Men and women making their way to the mill, their bodies twisted by years of manual labour. Or flocking to a football match, desperate to make the most of their little free time. LS Lowry made his name painting scenes of everyday life in the industrial northwest of England. It's a world understood by Lancashire-born writer Jeanette Winterson.
You know, he's like William Blake with the dark satanic mills. You know, he saw a vision of the industrial landscape. He understood it as a collective nervous breakdown. You know, the moment 1800 comes, we move from being an agricultural cottage industry society into what we call progress and the modern. But the effect and the cost for the working man and woman was devastating.
Lowry's artistic vision is now the subject of a major exhibition at Tate Britain, which brings together nearly 100 paintings. The artist himself said that his loneliness was the key to understanding his body of work. One man who got to know him is art collector Frank Cohen.
Him himself was depicting himself probably in the people he saw in the work. And I think he felt that he was part of what the work was all about. And rather than go out in the street and talk to these people and befriend these people, he was just painting these people. And I don't think there was not much difference between him himself and the work.
But although Lowry became hugely popular during his own lifetime, he wasn't embraced as warmly by the art establishment. Many people believe he was the victim of class snobbery, and Tate was often accused of being complicit in this prejudice. For years, it rarely exhibited its Lowry collection, and paintings like this languished in the basement. Why did you keep so many of them hidden away for so long?
Well, he has been neglected. We're not pretending he hasn't. And Lowry really has sort of escaped the eye of the London art world, I would say, for the last few decades at least. His work is sort of shrouded in, sort of north-south divide, class snobbery, all of those things, highly sort of contentious and full of condescension, I would say, with a lot of art historians and curators. And a lot of those things are things that we are trying to pay attention to with this exhibition.
The exhibition displays work by Lowry alongside that of the French Impressionists who influenced him, to prove that he was much more educated and knowledgeable than many critics thought. Perhaps the same critics who didn't take his work seriously because he had a full-time job as a rent collector, and often painted very similar scenes.
Repetition's interesting because when Andy Warhol does it, you know, with the Monroes or the soup cans, we think, wow, this is so groundbreaking, and it forces us to look again at the familiar. When Lowry does it, because he's the wrong class and it's the wrong subject matter and he's not hip and trendy, a lot of his critics say, oh, he can only paint the same thing again and again. So I mind about that theoretically, but practically, you know, he's painting something which is in itself about repetition. Those long terraces, those chimneys all smoking in the same way.
Perhaps incredibly, the new show is the first major retrospective of Lowry's work held by a public institution in London since 1976, the year of the artist's death. However it affects his status in the art world, his popularity at least shows no sign of dimming. Tate Britain has already taken its highest ever pre-sales for the show.